Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Monday Morning Motivation. Welcome to one more Monday morning, a special one, right? I think all Monday mornings are special. They are the beginning of the week, right? So welcome to our Monday Morning Motivation. My name is Sophia. I'm your host today. And today I have the pleasure to have here with us our guest speaker, Linming Wen. He's a founder. He's the founder of Ambition to Advance. He's a public speaking consultant. He has lived for many years in Sweden. He's a skilled actor, dancer as well. So lots of different talents. He has over 9 years of experience in coaching and is specialized in areas that include marketing, intercultural communication, public speaking, and sales. Today, he's gonna be talking about how to communicate effectively in spontaneous situations. So very much looking forward to your talk. Thank you, Linming, for being here. And in case, yeah, feel free to, to say hi, Linming.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again, Sophia.
Perfect. And in case we have some newcomers here today, let me just go through a little bit of what Monday Morning Motivation is. So we are a community of like-minded people who want to make the difference and want to share some inspiration throughout the week, and especially on Monday mornings, that are those days of the week that people usually have a little bit of resistance, right? Because it's the start of the week. But we have been changing that, right? So Monday morning has now a positive vibe here. So we try to share these positive vibes in the morning. And we also have webinars on Wednesday mornings in Chinese. In case you want to join the groups, we have currently 8 WeChat groups. So in case you want to join our WeChat groups, or we have the Chinese group, we have the Hangzhou group. So you can reach out to me, you can add my WeChat, and I will add you to the groups. In case you are interested in becoming our member, you can also do that scanning the QR code down below. The benefits is that you will get unlimited access to all the recordings of all the MMM webinars, both in English and Chinese. You will also get exclusive discounts from companies in different industries, from amazing coaches, amazing psychotherapists, business, different areas. So everything that you would like to find, I'm sure you'll be able to find through us. Then we have our 365 Days of Motivation book. It's a book with lots of inspirational quotes, self-coaching exercises, journaling, space for journaling. So it can get you inspired through the year with these 365 Days of Motivation book. We do all of this for free, and we are very happy to do so, to keep this beautiful community of like-minded people. But of course, always feel free to contribute and to let the project grow. The good thing is that you will not only be contributing for MMM, but also for the 1 Million Tree project, because half of the proceeds actually go to this project to help to plant trees in Inner Mongolia. Then we have our most recent partnership with Fuzzy Kitten Volunteers. So it's our Monday morning meow. Today we have Bluebell and we have Azul. They are both in Shanghai, and they are ready to be fostered they are looking for a new home. So who knows, we have someone here interested. So feel free to reach out to us, or just scan the QR code over here and you can get directly in touch with Fuzzy Kitten volunteers. And last but not least, we have our lineup for April. So we have some wonderful speakers, both in English and Chinese lineups. So stay tuned for the next talks. And with no further ado, I'm gonna now pass the word to Coach Linming. So Linming, welcome.
Thank you so much, Sophia. Hey, everyone. Let me just share the screen real quick.
Good morning, everyone. And feel free to turn on your camera. Okay, guys?
Can everyone see the screen, by the way?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, perfect. Nice. So thank you for a lovely introduction, Sophia, again. And thank you all for joining us today at MMM. I know it's early in the morning. Again, our brain is still in a warm-up process and preparing for intense work later on. And just, again, for my curiosity, I would like to know how many of us are actually warmed up and ready for kicking off on Monday morning. Press 1 if you are ready for the day, and press 2 if you're not. And I will try to make sure you will be ready by the end of this webinar. So press 1 if you're ready for today. Nice. A lot of ones. Wow. Amazing. 1.5. I like that. Nice. We have 2. Okay. Great. Great. Awesome. A lot of ones. Okay. So thank you all for coming to this webinar. And today's topic is going to be how to speak effectively in spontaneous situation. Some of the tools and concept is something you might have heard of already, but we're going to dive into it, and maybe you can allow me to share my perspective on this. Okay. So, and I thank you all for completing the first exercise of today. I hope it feels good. Okay. This webinar is going to be a little bit interactive and a lot of questions. So I will ask you questions that are both yes or no question, and sometimes rhetorical questions, because I believe the best way to learn a new content and become an effective speaker is to ask questions, and then we answer them, communicating in practice. Okay, so there's going to be an activity later on as well. So I hope everyone can participate if you can and willing, because I know you're in your bed right now and enjoying a cup of coffee, but let's try to be interactive. So today's topic is a type of communication that requires us to speak without any preparation. You can think of it as like an impromptu, but it's a little bit different because it's more common and prevalent than planned speaking, right? Like planned speaking, like keynotes, public speaking, and pitching. So a quick questions to everyone before we start this topic is that, have you ever experienced when a teacher, a boss, or someone just cold call you to answer a question or to ask you to clarify something? Perhaps a situation when you meet your boss or a friend in an elevator, afternoon tea break, and you just don't know what to say. If you press 1 if you have ever experienced this situation, and press 2 if you don't. Okay, so press 1 if you ever encountered those situations I have described. Press 2 if you don't. Nice. Then we have an agreement here. Nice. Great. Wow, a lot of ones. Okay, nice. Thank you, everyone. A lot of ones. So what do? Right? Sometimes it's really embarrassing to not be able to express yourself effectively, right? And luckily, that's why we're here today. And I'm glad we got some solutions for this. And if you have better solutions and maybe some ideas, you can also share in this chat. All right. So before I start, I know that Sophia has done an amazing job already to introduce myself. So I'm gonna repeat real quick about myself so that you remember, because I see a lot of new faces coming in. So my name is Linming, or you can call me Coach Linming. So I come from Sweden, and I'm currently running my own company called Ambition to Advance, which is a coaching and consulting company that focuses on corporate training and professional training. We specialize in public speaking, business communication, and negotiation. So if you ever need our consultations, please just add my WeChat by the end of this webinar. I will have a slide with my personal WeChat and also company WeChat. So let's get it started. So in order to be an effective communicator, regardless if it's spontaneous or planned, we have to first get our feeling under control, right? And secondly, we need to have tools that can help us deliver the speech. So let's get started with the first one, okay? And I think most of you have this feeling already before, which is anxiety, which is very common, right? Because a lot of people telling us they're nervous when they speak in public or respond directly to an unexpected question. right? And I think other people who say they're not nervous, they're basically lying because they have not yet experienced how audience could make them feel nervous too. For example, when you're doing public speaking or presentation, you can see a lot of audience are yelling, right? Or you can also see some audience are not paying attention, they're watching their phones. Imagine if everyone in the first row, they're not looking at you, how would you feel? You will feel nervous, right? You will feel anxiety, right? If you care about the presentation. If you don't care, never mind, right? So one of the most recognized feeling is anxiety, which is a very common fear, and we can learn to manage and not get rid of it, which means that sometimes anxiety helps us a lot. It gives us a motivation, energy, and a lot of pumps, right? It makes sure we are focused and tell us what we're doing important, right? But we want to learn how to manage that. So I would like to introduce you a few techniques that can work. And these techniques are based on academic research and some experience that I have in public speaking and also dancing. So what are those? Okay. So the first one is seek to understand. And I think a lot of people don't do that. So for most of people, when you feel the anxiety moment or anxiety feeling, is happening in the initial minute prior to speaking. And sometimes even 2 days or 1 week or sometimes 6 months before, a public speaking events, right? And sometimes if you have a test, and I assume some of you have experienced this, when you're doing SAT or when you're in school or when preparing for a presentation before tomorrow, if you're meeting your boss, meeting your clients, you sometimes when it's so important, you feel so nervous about it because you care so much about it, right? And in this situation, yeah, so what happened is many of us. So Xinchang, can you mute yourself? Thank you. Thank you so much. Great. Thank you so much. So again, back to the conversation. So in this situation, what happens to us is that we start to begin to feel, for example, our legs start to shaking, right? Or maybe you feel sweaty. And then we start to say to ourselves, right, oh my God, I'm so nervous. Okay, they're going to tell I'm nervous and they're going to say no to me, right? They're going to reject me. So this is not going to go well, and we're going to slowly getting out of control. And this is happening most of the time, when we're doing something we care about. And for me, sometimes, maybe before, not now, it's like I feel very nervous. And so I begin to, feel a very warm in my chest. So sometimes I barely could speak. And that happened before. So this is the feeling that I have, but it's different feeling symptoms for different people. So what we can do in this case is first of all, greeting anxiety and say, hey, this is me feeling nervous, right? It's very common. We have to accept the feeling. So because I'm about to do something very important to me. And by simply greeting your anxiety and know that it's normal, natural, and trust me, even have done so many public speaking activities in front of so many people, I still feel anxiety today, okay? So this is very normal. And it's one of the way I do to myself to make myself less nervous, which is accept it. So next time you begin to feel those anxiety signs, take a deep breath, okay, and say, this is me feeling it, okay? So taking a breath is also very important. I'm assuming most of you have tried yoga, meditation, and so on, and it's all about breathing, okay? So another technique that I would like to introduce is see this as a conversation, right? And I think if you have attended any public speaking workshop, you probably heard of this, okay? It's having every conversation, see it as a conversation first. Okay, you have to get a new perspective about those situations. So most of us, when we're up to presenting, in a TED talk or whatever it is, we feel that we have to do it right. We feel like we have to perform, right? We feel like we have to make everything perfect. So I assume most of you have tried dancing and singing, in a group or maybe, in a KTV, right? So when you perform, there's right way and wrong way to do so, right? When you dance in a group, if you mess up the tone or mess up the steps, right? You mess up the audience, you mess up the group because you don't do it in the right place, right time. You made a mistake, right? And it messes up everything. And people know that, particularly singing, right? You know when it's wrong, right? So when you present, it's different. And when you're having conversation, it's different because there's no right way, right? There's certainly better and worse way. People can judge because it's very subjective, right? But we need to look at conversation, and presenting whatever it is as something other than performing. It's not performing. There's no judges, right? Unless if you attend a competition, right? So what I would like to suggest you see this as a conversation. So right now I'm having a conversation with 43 people, right? Rather than saying I'm performing, right? So, and I also want to give you some concrete things that you can do, which is being the present moment. Okay. But I want to add an extra thing with the conversation as well, which I forget to mention, which is start with a question when you're having a conversation, right? Just like the way I did here in the morning, right? I ask you how you felt and so on. I ask you a question to get you involved, even if it's online, right? So I'm trying to make sure, okay, we're in conversation. I'm not presenting it. Okay, so use questions. They can be rhetorical, they can be anything. And perhaps I want to hear more information from you and learn from you, right? I want to know your mental states. I want to know your health. I want to know if you need some supply from me later on, because I know in Shanghai it's locked down. I want to know the situation, right? Because I care, right? So I use question as well, when I do this presentation, rather than writing a lot of text, having a lot of paragraph, passage, and so on. So I list out all the questions now I'm going to answer. And right now I'm answering what are the ways we can do to manage your feeling or anxiety, right? So next thing that I want to share is most of us, when we're presenting, we also worry about the future, right? So sometimes my students worry about if they're going to get the right deals, they're going to get the right negotiation tools, or they worry about if they get the right grades, right? They might not get the support they wanted and something like that. So we're always worried about what's happening in the future, which, it's not really a good way to do so, because we forget that it's even more important to be in the present moment. So when we be in the present moment, we're not going to be concerned about what's happening in the future. Therefore, we will be less nervous. Okay. So right now, I'm not thinking about what's going to happen at the end of this webinar. I'm thinking about what can I do right now. So as a breakdancer, we have different tools to do so, right? For example, when we're performing in front of 1,000 people or something like that, I'm getting really nervous most of the time. So the best way that I do it is usually doing push-ups or some dance moves, right? Spinning on my head or something, because I cannot be physically active and not be in the present moment. So I have to be in the present moment somehow. And I don't think that everyone should do the head spin, or something like that, right? You might get hurt if you don't have experience, right? So I'm not recommending everybody to do that. But what you can do instead, for example, you can take a walk around the building, right? You can listen to music, your favorite music, and you can speak to your friends, right? So it's very simple. And the last step is quite straightforward. It's start today, okay? So I want you to take away these tools and start today and practice, because the best way, you can manage the feelings is by practicing it, right? It's like meditation, okay? So again, the first one is seek to understand. The second one is get a perspective, be in the present moment, and lastly, start today, okay? So now, when we know how to manage the feelings and so on, we're going to talk about how to deliver a speech, okay? So most of the time when we're speaking with others, we're reacting rather than responding. So what does it mean? It means that if someone asks you a question or cold calling you, the first thing you do is just to respond, in a reacting way, which means you don't think through, right? You just say something, right? Because you want to be recognized. You want to feel like, okay, the question I from other people have been sent to you, basically. But afterwards, you over-evaluate, you over-analyze, you freeze up, because you think, okay, how would the person feel? How was the answer? Maybe I say something wrong. So I would suggest that we respond in a way that is very genuine, okay, and authentic. So Sophia, in the last session, she's told me that she's always being herself. Whatever happening, she's always being herself. I think that's very, very important, because by being yourself and true self, you are able to communicate, effectively. Because a lot of people are trying to be someone else, right? They're trying to talk in a way that it sounds cool or something like that. And that's not important. What's most important is be yourself, and it will help you a lot in the communication. And dare to be boring. It means that, okay, even though you're boring, like maybe you sound like boring, that doesn't matter. What matters is you are able to share your thoughts. And there's many games we can play at home to practice, okay, to respond, in responding to be genuine and authentic. One of the games that I would recommend is impromptu activity, which means that you put up a question or topic, right? And then you put a limited time on this to respond to the topic. For example, If the topic is what is my favorite travel destination, then maybe you give yourself 1 to 2 minutes to practice to answer the question. And impromptu activities are extremely, good way to practice because you have limited time and you have to be straightforward. Okay, so that's something I recommend. But of course, that's not enough, right? So we have the next step, which is see everything as an opportunity, right? I think if you attend any public speaking workshop, you probably heard of this. A lot of time when we speak or having conversation, we see it as a challenge or a threat, right? So when I coach a lot of salespeople or PR or marketing people, a lot of time when they communicate with customers, and when customers asking them, okay, why is your product better than others? Why should I choose your product? They feel like, okay, it's like a me versus them kind of thing, right? They have to win because they want to convince the customers, right? And it becomes so wrong because the way they say it actually get away the customers. What does it mean? It means that you push away the customers. And when customer asking this difficult question, it also become an adversary experience. So the first thing that I do with them is basically change the way they think about it, right? Which is see it as an opportunity. So today, for example, later on, or maybe now when people ask me a question, right, I will see it as an opportunity to clarify things that I wasn't clear enough on, right? It's an opportunity to understand what people are thinking. If I see it as an opportunity, it feels very different. We see it differently. And therefore, we have more freedom to respond in a way that we are genuine, again, and authentic. So, but when I feel like you're challenging me, right? The feeling, I assume that most of you know the feeling when you feel challenged, right? You're going to do everything to protect yourself. You're going to say things that are harmful. Maybe your tone of voice changes. Maybe your attitude changes, right? So these are the things that I want everyone to drop on, right? To trying to see everything as opportunity, right? You have opportunity to explain and expand your thoughts. Then you're going to interact differently. So if you have, for example, dinner, maybe after COVID-19 quarantine, you go out with your friends, you're having a drink, maybe a new friend, bring a new friend, right? And perhaps when you're bringing a new friend to the table, the other friends might asking you, okay, can you introduce this person? You're probably gonna say, okay, yes, let's do that because this is your friend, right? You see this as opportunity to introduce him or her, right? So see this as an opportunity, okay? And next one, I think, which is very important and common, which is listening. All right. And a lot of people say they listen all the time, but it's not true. Okay. And I sometimes feeling guilty of that. Right. So it's very hard thing to listen, to slow down and listen, because if we don't listen, we don't understand the demand of the requirement. And that, in realistic setting, we often jump ahead, right? We listen just enough and to think that we know everything and we know how to answer, and then we basically respond. And then after that, we know we say something wrong, right? So we need to listen carefully. So if we don't understand what the audience or the person is requiring or asking, we don't know how to respond in a better way. So we need to slow down. So I have an activity, as I told you before, and this activity is one of my favorite. Okay, so a lot of public speakers have used this activity to test whether people understood. So this activity, it's basically, I want you to listen carefully. All right, I'm going to spell out everything I'm about to say. And you're going to press 1 if you understood and press 2 if you didn't. All right. And I might spell it wrong, but doesn't matter. I think you're going to get the catch. Okay. You're going to understand most of the content. I think so. All right. Shall we try? Okay. So I'm going to spell out everything. All right. So I hope everyone is ready for this. Okay. So I'm going to get it started. And then if you understood, you press 1. If you press 2, if you didn't. 1.5 if you understand half of it. Okay. So let's go. IAMSOEXCITED TODAY TOTALK So press 1 if you understood. Press 2 if you didn't. One point five, 2, 1.5. Yes, a lot of 1.5 this time. Nice. 2, 1. Yes, Bill. Amazing. Nice. 1.5. Nice. Do we have anything more? Great. A lot of 1.5 today. Amazing. Thank you so much. So what I said is I'm so excited today to talk about this thing, right? Sometimes if we don't listen carefully, or maybe I am the one who is guilty of this, pronouncing the words wrong, but I hope everyone understood like what I said, like almost 50%, I mean, in the spelling game, right? Because the point with this game is it changes the interaction, you're having with me, right? So what did you have to do? You have to focus and listen, right? In order to get the message. You can't be thinking ahead. And I know it's morning, definitely, if someone would say that to me, I would feel like, okay, if I don't have a pen and paper, that would be difficult. But the point is you have to be in the moment, right? When you listen and truly understand what the person is trying to say, then you can respond in a better way, right? So listening is very, very important, but also difficult. Okay, so I would like everyone to practice this game. So now when we know how to listen, okay, we perhaps going to talk about how do we respond in a better way using the structure. Okay, so I have two structure, which is very prevalent and very common structure that everyone use. Okay, and I think this is good enough structure for us to manage or having conversation or respond to different situation and speak effectively, basically. So the first structure I would like to introduce is problem solution benefit. Okay, this is very common structure used to persuade other people, or you can use as a sales pitch, right? So problem solution benefit structure. You always start about, okay, what issue is, you can talk about what is the solution, and then you can talk about the benefit. Okay, so for example, if Sophia would ask me like, okay, I got a problem or something like that, then maybe, or let's put it like this instead, maybe I report to Sophia. Okay, so Sophia is the managing director of the company, and I'm basically a marketing manager. And I got a problem. So I might go to Sophia and say, hey, Sophia, we got a problem. We are not able to generate X amount of leads by this day. And I have a solution for that. And the solution is work with MMM to create marketing campaign so that we can reach out to more people. And the benefit of working with MMM is that we're able to connect with like-minded people. We connect with a lot of positive people, and these people are actually the target audience of ours. So in such way, you can make sure the communication is quite direct, but also reaching out to the audience, basically. Okay, so it's very persuasive and effective as well, and it helps you as a speaker to remember, because you always need to remember is problem, solution, and benefit. And there's harder way you can do that too, which is problem, solution, justification, and then benefit. So there's many different ways you can do so, but I would recommend, again, problem, solution, benefit. And people remember, better when the information is structured, right? It's 40% even more effective and efficient than information that is not structured. That's why we're using structure, okay? The second one that I would recommend, which is what, so what, and now what, okay? And this one is also prevalent and very common way to present. So for example, if I would come to a party today, right, or a dinner, I would say, my name is Linming, okay, which is the what. I'm a presenter from MMM, which is so what. And then now I wanted to listen to this speech. Now what, right? It's also a very common way and straightforward and very efficient, okay? So I want everyone to try to adapt to this skill set, and I want to make a conclusion real quick. The first one, when we're trying to manage an anxiety or feel the feeling, we seek to understand, we get a new perspective, we be in the present moment, and we start today, which means we practice today. And the next one is be genuine, authentic, reframe as opportunity, slow down and listen, and use structure. And that's the way you do to deliver a great speech. And the last one is that if you have any more questions regarding public speaking and so on, you can always add my personal WeChat or company WeChat. Okay, anyone have any questions?
Thank you so much, Linming, for this beautiful presentation. And we already talked a lot about this before in the previous webinar. I think being genuine, being authentic is so important, right? And often neglected skill, right? I think that's so important in public speaking, right? Because it allows you to create that connection with the audience, right? When you are being natural, people can feel it. when you are being authentic, people can relate to you. So that there's a lot of power in that. And you were also mentioning that people often are so busy kind of performing, right, that they forget to be authentic. They forget to stay in the present moment with the other person. And I think that was really, I had some insights while I was listening to you, because that's so true. We often are just reacting and kind of performing, but we are not really communicating, right? Because to communicate, it needs to be reciprocal. We need to be, it's a two-way thing, right? It's not one way. So thank you so much for this beautiful presentation. And now, guys, the stage is yours. So feel free to ask Linming all the questions that you have. Unmute yourself, show us your beautiful faces, or you can also write down your question in the chat.
Thank you so much, Sophia. Thank you. So I see iPhone is asking questions. Are there places like Toastmaster you can it depends on which city you are. If you're in Shanghai, I think there's a lot of Toastmaster group, and I think what I can do is send some groups in the chat later on if you're in Shanghai.
Yeah.
And Toastmaster is actually, yeah, please go ahead, Sophia.
No, yeah. Just feel free to ask in the MMM groups, and we will send it to you. Yeah. I think we all are connected in Toastmasters group.
So another question, Rikta, any ways to practice and how do you practice? Okay, there's two ways. Okay, number one, if you practice speaking effectively in spontaneous situation, which is the one that I recommend, which is impromptu. So what you can do is bring one of your friends, okay? You can hang out, you can drink coffee or something, and then you can put up activity such as start with a topic, like it can be anything. My favorite travel destination, for example. And then both of you get a timer, perhaps 1 minute, 2 minutes, and you have to present. So 1 or 2 minutes basically means preparation time, or less than that, it depending on how effective you are already using the structure. All right. And the third step is using the structure that I have presented earlier. Number one, problem, solution, benefit. Secondly, what, so what, and now what. So those are the way I want you to practice. Okay. And I do that very oftenly. And it's very good to have a friend to practice with you, because then the friend can give you some feedback, right? Or what you can do is record it. It works also perfectly. All right.
Thank you so much, Linming. Jeremy, do you have a question? He's raising his hand. All right. Aurora is also. Okay, hello? Jeremy, go ahead.
Hi, Jeremy.
Sorry. Yeah. May I know how can I attend your practice in Guangzhou?
Thank you. That's extremely good questions. You can add me first on WeChat, and then we can do it either online or offline. So it depending on the requirements, basically.
Okay. So we will do some training. Is the language is Chinese or English? So you will use English or Chinese?
So I think both are fine. So I can speak 5 languages, like Swedish, Chinese, and English, and also Danish, and Chinese, both Mandarin and Cantonese. So it's okay, I think.
Okay.
Thank you.
I said that Linming is very skilled, right? So many
Thank you,
talents.
Sophia.
It's amazing. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for your questions. Linming is also going to share some information about his work later on in the groups, so you guys can stay tuned, and then you can add Linming and ask him more questions. Aurora is also asking, could you recommend us books?
So do you want Chinese or English? In Chinese, they have a lot of books, such as English. I think TED Talk has they have a book called TED Talk. I think that's pretty good, but it's a little bit in depth. It's more like for structured speech. And the second one they have is like original oratory is also another book. So I think the best way I can do is later on, I send you a list of the books in the chat because I don't have the names, on top of my mind. But that's a really good question. Thank you, Aurora.
All right, thank you so much. Does anyone ask any other questions? Take this chance as Linming is still here. I'm just going to quickly share our lineup for April one more time so that everyone can see. So we're going to have some wonderful speakers, some different topics. We'll have Tatiana. Tatiana is here today. I've seen her, right? Or at least I've seen that she is here. An amazing public speaking coach as well. So we are going to have Tristan, Klaus, Fisher, Sebastian, Jeff. I'm also going to be talking with Janine about coaching yourself. And we will also have Ken, so some wonderful speakers. So stay tuned for our April talks. And all right, so if no one has questions, we are going to finish here. Let me just very quickly show you again our Monday morning meow, our partnership with Fuzzy Kitten Volunteers. So we have these two beautiful cats. So if you would like to foster them, if you would like to so give them a new home, just let us know or scan the QR code over there, and you will get in touch with Fuzzy Kittens, Kitten Volunteers. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for being here with us today. Thank you so much, Linming, for this wonderful presentation.
Thank you so much, Sophia. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And everyone, have a beautiful Monday morning. Kick off the day. You've already started in the right way, so now it's only good things coming, right? So have a beautiful Monday morning, everyone, and beautiful week. Bye-bye.